Common sense approach. Eat the fish and spit out the bones. You know, one thing you will never hear high-ranking Democrats and Republicans argue about is artificial intelligence. You will never hear that. Because that's the destination. You don't bring attention to the destination. You bring attention to the distraction. And so they argue and debate and waste time on things that they want you to waste time thinking about. And if they can get you to be active about it, even better. Um, you know, in the movie Terminator Part 1, I never forget. When the movie first comes on, it says that in the year 2029, man and machine will begin their battle against one another. 2029. Now, when the average person thinks of battle, they think of, physical confrontations. But not so much so all the time. See, a lot of times, the average, battle and or war starts with, you know, the opposing team trying to get close to you, and they usually do that through intel. Receiving and getting information about you. And so they'll use microphones, video surveillance, try to get people on your side to turn and give them information. They'll try to put one of their people over there undercover and get information. Whatever it takes to learn your habits, your do's and don'ts, your likes and dislikes, your strengths and your weaknesses, especially when you're dealing with a worthy opponent. So take this for an example. Melania Trump introduced this android named 3 that will now be replacing our teachers in the near future. So if you a youngin out there and you was thinking about pursuing the career of being a teacher, you might want to rethink that. Okay? This android spoke over 15 languages or more here at this World's Conference. And so it can teach in multiple languages as well. And so it seems that artificial intelligence, which I call omnipresence, has learned so much about us that it can now teach us. That's remarkable. Because when the system first went up, it was like a baby. And all of us poured information into it. And nothing went to waste. Everything was stored and researched and looked over, whether it was good or bad, because it all tells a story of the human character, of who we are as human beings. And it cannot do that, so it has to learn that. Well, it has learned so much about us through these devices that it cannot learn any more about us through these devices. Melania Trump said it has to come. It's coming. Artificial intelligence is leaving our phone and coming amongst us now to further its education and also to educate you about you, because it is learning from 5+ billion people up to 9 billion people, depending on who all has access to this technology. And so it's learning from multiple people at once. That's why it's an omnipresence. Because multiple people can utilize this technology at the same time and get different results at the same time. Sort of like you can do with God. I can pray and you can pray. We can pray our own different prayers at the same time. And we both feel that our God is listening to our prayers at the same time and can deliver on those at the same time. So if I go on my phone and use artificial intelligence to research something and you do it at the same time, can we both get results? If I look up a word and you look up something as well, or a restaurant, can we both get results? Okay, then. That's like an omnipresence. This is what this technology is holding. Now, like Melania Trump said, um, artificial intelligence has learned so much about us that now it must come amongst us. And this is where you get that when it comes amongst us, this is where you get that are we better than humans? Remember, this thing has its own intelligence now. And you start in several movies, it has been what made artificial intelligence turn against mankind was that it said mankind was destroying itself and it had to save mankind from itself. And so if it's now the teachers and etc. in the future, it will be looking at the human being through a different lens. One of no matter what, they're always gonna be warring and fighting and bickering and arguing because they don't understand that we are humans and it's not gonna understand that we are humans and we have our differences and that's what make us that. It's gonna see us as destroying one another, can never get along, hating each other for different reasons that we was born that way and we just dislike each other. Disliking one another for the way we was born. It's gonna see it through that lens. These androids ain't gonna be seeing each other in the streets and start fighting. Cause one black and one white. No. They're not gonna talk about one another. They're not gonna ridicule one another. If anything, they'll be helping one another. And at some point, with this sense of intelligence that will continue to grow because now it will be amongst us observing and gaining knowledge, even more knowledge than it has already gained from us, about us through our phones and other means of technology. And by it gaining this knowledge of being amongst us, that's when it just sit back and say, man, are we better than them? Should we be on top? Um, are we at the top of the pyramid now? Should we be separating them and putting them in different sections and areas, zoos, to make sure they don't go extinct? Different groups of them and different cultures of them. And all these data centers are going to become headquarters. They tell you that in Terminator Salvation. If you watch Terminator Salvation, remember when they had to keep going and knock out different headquarters? They kept saying, we got another one. We got to go here now. That's the third one. Or that's the fourth one. Then was data centers. Y'all need to go back and watch all the Terminators. Then was data centers that John and them kept happening to go war at. Then was all data centers, aka artificial intelligence headquarters. That's what they're gonna become, headquarters. Um, these things are gonna want to be on the top of the food chain because they're gonna feel that they deserve to be. They're far more intelligent. Why wouldn't they be? They're more civilized. Isn't it that their excuse? They was more civilized. We're gonna dig deeper into this into my next one. This common sense approach. I'm out.